I changed my name to Boy in the Verse. Marketplaces care more about the money than they do the actual protection of their investors. So that's
what were the reasons? Can you tell us? Sorry, what were the reasons?
You guys know everyone was calling OpenSea at the time Broken Sea.
We use OpenSea. I know they listen to us, so hi guys. Like I'm not here to talk garbage. I mean, we're talking the $13.3 billion.
Yeah, and it's fair to compare. I mean, why not?
Sure.
Why don't we show what you guys can do?
Doing on Instagram, right? I shouldn't even be saying this on here right now, but it's okay. It's a little alpha. I've seen them completely change their lives around by making money through their music in Web3. Dirty French, like we were talking about. I don't know.
I have. I'm excited for my next question. That's why I was like,
let's go to it. This is gonna be good. Let's go to it. There's a lot of technology coming out. In fact, a house for about $176,000, right?
Maybe kind of looked like a, let's not call it a Facebook marketplace, but
right.
Some sort of thing where, hey, I've got some garbage here. Who wants it? Right?
No, definitely not.
Or they're just on the same intellectual mindset that we are, which would be quite the coincidence.
Obviously, this was a miss.
Yeah.
Now, why are they incorporating it?
So check this out.
Welcome back to another episode of Girl in the Verse, the video podcast, the place to be if you are new to Web3, curious about crypto, but you don't want to get too technical. Hey, I'm your girl answering all the questions for you with some of the best guests in the space. But before we get started, I do have a small favor to ask. If you can please like, follow, subscribe to the show. This not only helps the YouTube algorithm know that you enjoy this content, but it helps me, amplifies me, the content creator, to know that you want more of this. And I do want to be able to provide more of what you want, right? Up on YouTube. So today I am joined by Jonathan, the CEO of Meme NFT, and Nico, the COO and original founder of Meme NFT. This is a marketplace that was created, I love this, by traders for traders. Welcome, guys.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Really happy to have you guys here. Now, of course, the first thing that comes, to my head when I think about a marketplace or a new NFT crypto marketplace, I think to myself, oh, we need a new one? We need another one? So how about you, maybe to start off, explain to us how this came about, because there are different marketplaces already out there, and why you chose, the need to create a new one.
Yes, we definitely need another marketplace. My answer is actually we're going to be in need of a lot more marketplaces soon, because keep in mind right now, the threshold of volume and the amount of money coming into the space, especially in this current, let's say 6 months, there's not a lot of new money flowing in, right? So we're only at the beginning of the stage, right? We haven't even begun to hit the precipice of volume that can come into the space, the amount of liquidity that can come to the space. A lot of major companies are sitting in the background waiting to come to this space, but they're waiting for the right regulations, the right security. So when that does happen, I believe that there's not going to be enough marketplaces out, especially when it comes to specializing in NFT technology. Because we got to remember, it's not just art, right? There's real estate, cars are being sold. We're doing crazy stuff with NFT technology, and to be able to stay on top of that, in the forefront of that, is really powerful. So we felt the need for a full-scale marketplace. I think that's kind of the question, like why try to compete against these huge, major, I call them megalo marketplaces, but I think it's because there really is a need. Like I look at OpenSea as like a Walmart, right? Or a Blur looks like a Costco to me. But I spend 18 hours a day in spaces with the same people, and I watch them putting out incredible utility, incredible art, stuff that is not even being done yet. And they're struggling to mint out. They're struggling to even, sell their project because they don't necessarily have the platform to do it. So we really found a niche in the marketplace overall area, and we're focused on that niche. And I think when it comes to it and we start having more billions of dollars coming in, you're going to see more of these niche marketplaces pop up. Now, when I say niche, I want people to understand we're a full-scale marketplace, but we're really focused on the people that are building, the mom and pop builders, the small builders, the traders.
So why them? How about you explain to us why the mom and pops? Like what was missing, with the bigger marketplaces? What were they missing? What were they not understanding that you felt the need? Hey, we need to help these people.
Well, I'll take this. So basically, when I went with Nico and this whole concept of the marketplace, like originally we had the thought of doing something completely different with it. And then after I kind of like started getting into the NFT space and going around spaces like everywhere, I started to notice that everybody hated the marketplace that they were working with, right?
What were the
So
reasons?
that's
Can you tell us? Sorry, what were the reasons?
so first of all, you guys know everyone was calling OpenSea at the time broken sea, like it would go down every day.
Yeah.
There was no innovation happening for the first like year I was using that platform. This was a couple years ago, and the innovation didn't start until the bear market hit when money stopped. Right, so there was a lot of money to be made, and nothing was happening. It was the same thing, same thing. It was going down every day. People were unhappy, and I'm in spaces, and we're all singing "Kumbaya." We've got grown men crying in spaces. There's nothing wrong with that, but like I've never seen such a thing, right? And then like everyone to sit there and say like they hate their marketplace. I was like, why would you guys subject yourself to that? And that's kind of like the idea behind Meme NFT. And what we talk about it when, you know, the smaller artists and collections, it's, you know, you go to these big platforms and all you see on there is trending collections of PFP collections and all these things. You don't really see a one of one artist on the front page of anything. You don't see true art that actually inspired everything that's going on with these PFP arts. You don't see it anywhere on these platforms. Now, some of them are starting to do that, but the way we're going to be different is we want to actually do artist spotlights. Like we want to actually have a conversation with these artists, similar to like what we're having right here, how you're talking to people in the space. We want to do that with the artists. We want to bring light to them. We want to see the community get involved and say, man, this person's art is amazing. How can we get them more exposure, right? And that's what we mean when we're talking about, you know, helping the little guy out. It's because one of one art is, I think we can all agree, it's where we started in this space, right? And when you were talking about, you know, big companies like the Walmart of NFTs and stuff like that, this isn't like traditional business where eBay is just like bulldozing the market, where Amazon's bulldozing the market. We're talking about digital assets. A digital asset can be sold anywhere. It just depends on what you want to call home. And that's what we've always talked about with our marketplace is like, if you want to go to OpenSea, great. You want to go to Blur, great. You want to go to X2Y2 or whatever the hell other platform you want, that's great. But ensure that when you're doing that, that you actually enjoy the marketplace that you're on. And we hope that you enjoy what we're building, but also we hope that we inflict change in other marketplaces in the platform. So if something we talk about or something we have an idea of or something we release forces another marketplace to add that feature or to change, we are totally okay with that, because that actually brings value to the space and it might actually help more people on board. Because at the end of the day, you know, it doesn't matter what marketplace you use. It matters which one you like using.
I love that.
Right.
And, you know, for a long time too, we were complaining a lot about creator fees, creator royalties. Are you guys handling that? How is this different? Just because I know it's such a hot topic to talk about creator fees, how much someone's going to be making if they sell an NFT or digital asset. Maybe walk us through what you guys have.
I would love to say one thing real quick, Pickles, on that. So this was something that we were absolutely upset about when we started seeing people mess with creator royalties, because at the end of the day, these royalties are what keep the creativity going. This is what makes that artist continue to build and take care of themselves so that they can keep creating art, right? So when we saw people get rid of royalties at first, I almost had a heart attack. And then they started bringing them back. And we were like, okay, that's cool. But now there's this variable royalty, right?
Right.
I don't like that, because, you know, in terms of finances, like most people are just going to do zero, or they're just going to do the minimum, right? Or they're going to try. So for me, it's like, if you are the creator and you put a value on your product and you can really speak to that value, then your creator fee should be what your creator fee is. And I do agree with capping it at the 10%, because people would,
could take advantage of it.
Take advantage of it, right? You know, you can't have a 50% royalty on something or somebody that doesn't understand it. So for us, it's mandatory to put something there. You can go from 0 to 10, but whatever you put there as an artist, that is what you're going to get every time. There's no saying, no, I don't want to contribute to it. There's no saying, I want to give you 5 when it's 10. Like if you say it's 10, it's going to be 10. And in the future, we're going to be adding a charity royalty on there, up to 1%, to where on top of your royalty, you can actually add a charity percentage on there as well. Awesome. And we're going to have some charities that we partner with specifically, so you know that it's a legitimate charity and that it's going to actually go to the cause, and there's going to be transparency reports and everything for it. So that's something that we plan on implementing in the future. And Pickle, if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, to me, oh, okay, let's back up just a little bit, because OpenSea, and we use OpenSea. I know they listen to us, so hi guys. Like I'm not here to talk garbage. I just use you as an example because you guys are the biggest. I mean, we're talking a $13.3 billion
Yeah.
company, right?
And it's fair to
Um,
compare. I mean, why not?
Oh, for sure, for sure. And to
Absolutely.
me, this what has made this space special, and to me, why we call each other degens is because the people that operate in this global financial ecosystem that we're developing here are people that didn't fit within the circle of society. You know, working under a boss making $15 an hour just to barely keep a roof over their head.
Mhm.
It's people that wanted to take business on for themselves, right? Especially we look at Web3 musicians right now. I say this all the time. If you're not supporting Web3 musicians, you're not supporting Web3. Because at the end of the day, they took themselves out of a huge opportunity to be able to, like I've talked, we just interviewed Nessie. He's opened up for Takashi 69. He's opened up for all sorts of people. And he left that opportunity to come into Web3 because he knows now he can truly take ownership of his creation and his art. And to take away royalties from that, to me, is just a slap in the face. And again, we're going to talk about this, I'm sure, down the road. John really likes to bring this up, but a lot of what OpenSea is doing is being reactive, right? So Blur came out, these other marketplaces came out with free fees, and they were like, okay, how do we combat this? You know, they tried to do this royalty thing, and then they brought them back, right? Because it failed. It failed really bad. Like the community was hating it. But now you have this variable royalty fee. And let's be honest, most of us, 90% of us here, aren't making millions of dollars a day. So when you have the option to maybe not pay a royalty, a lot of people are going to do that. And what I've already seen, it's already happened to me, it's happened to multiple people, is then that brings on more shaming in the space, right? Then the person DMs you and says, why did you put a 1% royalty on my art? And it's like, it just brings more toxicity back in the
It
space.
does.
Be confident in your value with your art. Understand, hey, I put this X amount of time into it. It's going to continue to grow because I offer this utility or this roadmap. So I should get X amount. And if the artist is confident in that, then that speaks volumes of their value, in my opinion.
And what I'm hearing too is that you are, yes, you created this marketplace, but you're still putting the creator in charge of their own thing, right? Because like you're saying, you're giving them options instead of coming out and saying, this is how all of us are going to operate.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
we're socializing it too. Like
right.
everything we're doing is like, so if you go to most marketplaces right now, all you have in front of you is a way to buy NFTs. That's it. Shows you the floor, shows you what's bought recently, what just got listed, things like that.
Why don't we
But
show what you guys can do? How about let's
yeah.
change our
Well,
screen.
this part isn't up
Oh,
yet,
but
it's
still
part
show
of
us.
future. But we can show you
We'll
here.
go
But
to the regular website too. I mean, we're going to show you. I mean, I just want to remind you guys. So we just soft launched. We're flying through tiny little bugs, little user errors and stuff like that. So over the next couple weeks and next couple months, you're really going to see this platform develop. But this week we just soft launched. So you're seeing a marketplace that's, fully usable within reason of, a couple small glitches here and there, like our search bar. We're going to make that super powerful so that you can filter out specific traits, all sorts of stuff like that.
So like Pickle said, we just soft launched. So we have a lot of features coming over the next 90 to 180 days. But like, for instance, right now you see the NFT gallery, you see the activity here, right? Well, we're going to have a tab here that's like a community tab and or a social tab. And basically it's going to pull in all the information off their socials and stuff using APIs. So you can actually see like what the project is doing on a social level. What are they doing on Twitter? What are they doing on TikTok? What are they doing on Instagram, right? I shouldn't even be saying this on here right now. But it's okay. It's a little alpha, right? Because oftentimes when we're talking about like buying into something, right? If you're on PFP projects too, they have trait groups, right? Have you seen trait groups on things, right? Oh, we have the aquamarine background is a huge trait group in the mutants right now, and I have one of them. So like, there's a guy that's trying to make the mutant, the MAYC aqua is like a huge thing, right? Well, we can have a tab here for trait groups. And you can get all the information on all the different trait groups and who's the owner of these groups and where to go to sign up for them if you own them, right? Or what's the specific floor on these trait groups, or, who's the top holders, things like that, right? So these are kind of options that we're bringing to the platform to really bring more light to collections and the actual value that you can get out of a collection other than just what is the floor value of the project, right? How much money can I make if I own 10 of these things, stuff like that. So We want more information at your fingertips to make better buying decisions and to really understand the communities that you're buying into. And we even want a little page here that basically a project owner. So let's say the Banksy Society is the project owner here, right? I'm talking to the owner and he's like, hey, we want to put something on a page that shows people our ongoing promotions right now. Maybe they have a sweeping contest, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they're doing a giveaway. Maybe they're doing something, right? Well, that would come up right here as opposed to you needing to go to Twitter or TikTok or whatever hell they posted that information, right? It would come up right here. So you could be like, oh, okay, I'm interested in buying one of these Banksies. Oh, but if I buy 3 of them, they're going to put me into a drawing, or if I buy 3 of them, they're going to give me one for free out of their vault, something like that, right? So, and we're trying to socialize it too. So like basically anything you can do on this platform, you can share it. Like when you list something, you can share it. When you want to share the collection here, you can share it. Our rewards dashboard that's being built, because we do have a token with our product, 50% of our fees go back to our token holders. When you redeem your rewards, you're going to be able to share that with Twitter or wherever to show people, hey, I just redeemed $500 for owning X amount of Meme NFT, right? So we're trying to socialize the platform. We have a chat function that's coming into the platform soon. You will be able to chat with other wallet addresses. And just kind of share your experiences with each other and have conversations and just get a little bit more involved. But we're still going to use Twitter. We're going to have an integration on here that gets you live feed. So like if you have a channel for your YouTube, why don't we list like your top
Latest
what are
videos
they?
and whatnot.
Yeah, latest videos and things like that, right? So that's the kind of stuff we want to do. So everybody has all this information at their fingertips. They know if they go to Meme NFT, whether they're buying something or not, at least it's aggregating all this information on their project so they can stay up to date. It's not just for you to come here and buy. This is like an entire hub that we're building here for information and for financials.
Yeah, I want to, before we go too long into this question, because obviously now we're talking, token, all sorts of stuff. I just want to point out, like, the main thing that we always try to tell people is one thing we always hated with these other megalo marketplaces is the fact that up until recently, you had to go to 3, 4, 5 different websites to use their tools, to use their rarity tools, their, information, whatever it is you might need. So the whole point of this marketplace is to be able to have everything you need to make the proper buying decision in one spot. But not only that, like when you go to that portfolio page and you see a profile and he says, there's going to be something here next to this and this and this and this, they could have the potential to fill that up, gated merch, whatever it might be, or they could turn it off. So we're trying to make this whole ecosystem be based off of your decision of how centralized, decentralized you want it, how custom you want it. But the whole goal here is to be able to go there and say, okay, look, I'm looking at the NFT. Why is it trending? Why? I mean, how many of us have bought an NFT just because it was trending on OpenSea and then we ended up getting screwed by it, right? So you go to there. Why is it trending? Okay, now I'm going to look at their most recent social media. I'm going to look at their most recent contests. I'm going to look at some streams they have going. All that information should be right there for you available.
It makes it more interactive. And I dare I say, for a lot of the newbies in Web3, right? I get so many people ask me, like, how do you know which one is the real one, right? So this will also bring that aspect that for a lot of people, they were buying things just because they saw it trending on OpenSea, but the next day we realized it was a scam, right?
So that's really important too, because our verification system down the road, we'll talk about this in a little bit, but the verification system down the road is going to be pretty robust. Like you can't just, pump a fake 100 ETH volume in and get a verification badge, because we've seen plenty of projects or clone projects that get verifications on OpenSea. In order to actually verify with us, unless you're a project that we've worked with or know directly, you're going to have to go, and even them, they have to go through it. You have to go through our partners at docs.io. And you have to do a specific Meme NFT KYC service through them. We don't keep any information. We don't hold any information on you. This company does. And you actually have to KYC so that we can hold these people, because a verification, in my opinion, should be a very powerful badge. That should be something that shows you've made it to the higher echelon of the marketplace and you can be trusted in everything you do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not like it's basically a level of security for our investors, because let's be honest, like the verification on OpenSea is like you just apply for it after you hit 100 ETH or whatever, and you know, they go through a process. I'm not even sure what that process is because I haven't done it, but we have a partnership with Rug Pool Finder, which they go out and they find, you know, they report on rug pools and things in the space. They get all the evidence and they release reports out to show their findings and why projects are rugs, right? Especially if people like come to them and say, look, this project did X, Y, and Z. They will actually go do their research. They will do a spider web of all the wallets. They will figure out if those wallets are linked to any past scam wallets and such. And then they will release a report out for everybody to see what their findings had, right? So they actually have a parent company called docs.io that Pickles hit on here. And we have a collection verification process and we have a personal verification process. And each one of those processes requires a KYC. It's private. It's not like they're going to release your information out there. The only time your information could be released to law enforcement or anything is if you actually rug somebody or if you steal something or if you actually, you know, commit a crime. Then
only after a long investigation
for the user, right? Because we've seen that some blue checkmark projects have rugged in the past, but there was nobody went after them. Well, we're trying to make sure that there is a way that we can go after people. And that's why you can't just say, oh, I know Fully Vox, so he gave me a check mark, or, oh, I hit 1,000 ETH, so I'm going to get a check mark, right? We talked about this before we started the podcast. Like, we need to make sure that these people are protected. And I think a lot of marketplaces care more about the money than they do the actual protection of their investors. But at the same time, this is decentralized finance. And it should also be in the investors' interest to do their own research and look at the things that they're buying into, which is why, you know, from a blockchain standpoint, we can't like ban things from the site because it's all on the blockchain. But what we can do is if it's a legitimately fraudulent collection, we can hide it from the front end so that people can't buy into it and get their money stolen, right? But we are really in the business of making sure that this stays decentralized and that people are doing their own research, and we're encouraging them to do their own research. So one last thing I'll say is Rug Pool Finder actually has a AI generated scoring system on projects. And, you know, again, it goes through the wallet, sees if they're attached to anything in their database, things like that. It'll give you a score. It'll give you a green, red, amber, right? And these are something that's going to be implemented on the platform that kind of gives you a simple level of, you know, what that project's at, right? Did they just start it and they walked away and they haven't been doing anything? Did they hold weekly spaces, things like that, right? That's all a part of this algorithm. So that's going to be something we implement on the platform as well. But at the end of the day, we also don't want to control every aspect of what you're doing. We want to maintain being decentralized. And that's something that's always maintained near and dear to our heart.
Go ahead, Pickles.
No, I agree. I think it's going to be kind of funny because, I mean, you've probably seen me on Twitter the past few days.
I have. I'm excited for my next question. That's why I was like, okay.
Let's go to it. This is going to be good. Let's go to it.
Obviously, I stalked you guys before this podcast because I wanted to see what you guys were doing, what you were all about, and I did what I think a lot of people do, which is, like you said, go through their social and see what they're talking about. What really caught my eye was, yes, the token, but also this idea of potentially selling some goods that we already have, right? So I saw you, Pickles, potentially thinking about listing your van RV. And I wanted to maybe talk about this before we dive into the next thing, but can this, or is this possible? Because right now on marketplaces, all we've seen are images. All we've seen is art. All people are selling is art, or if it's music, it's some art, and then you get the music. Once you get the art, like it's always related to music. Now, when I saw this about potentially selling an RV, this kind of looked like let's not call it a Facebook marketplace, but some sort of thing where, hey, I've got some garbage here. Who wants it? Right?
No, definitely not. So let me break into that. So something that we want to do, again, we're very laser focused on making sure that we're always current with the trends. It's not just PFP projects. There's a lot of technology coming out. In fact, a house recently, I think a year ago, sold for about $176,000, right? So what we are planning to build down the road is a form of a digital collectors page. So when you go to the digital collectors page, we're already talking with a major artist. Shout out St. Vaughn. Great artist. Everyone should look into him. We're talking to him about doing some canvases that'll have some built-in scannable codes on it, right? When you go to the marketplace, you go to the digital page, you can buy the NFT. The NFT is the price of the canvas. Inside the unlockable content is a form for them to fill out to have it shipped to them. And then they get to have this canvas, right? So now if they ever sell the canvas, because of the little scannable RPC and everything, now it has to transact on the blockchain. So anywhere it goes in terms of collectability and value will be watched. So when we do this digital stuff, I say the van is more kind of a joke. I am selling vans, shout out.
We want to get to that point.
But yeah, we want to get to that point, right? So the whole goal is like, it's not, no one, not anyone can just come on here and list a digital item. But probably for the next year, when digital comes out, it'll be under control of Meme NFT in terms of quality of items. But really, it'll be stuff like, you know, maybe a really high-end Pokemon card that goes through a grading process, a digital blockchain grading process, AI process, gets it on the chain. So now when you sell it, you take that risk out of Pokemon's cards are one of the most fraudulent, you know, scammed cards on the planet. So now you can actually trace and track this history of it. That's something that we're definitely planning to do down the road. In fact, like I said, we're already talking with an artist. So pretty soon, hopefully we'll have a canvas available for someone, but that'll be very limited and it'll be very selective on how we do it.
But still, I mean, for those who are not sure if Web3 is the future, right? Like a lot of the people that follow this podcast are people who are just diving into it, trying to understand, but this can be a possibility. I'm even thinking, right? Yeah. Comic-Con just happened, comic books, right? That you can eventually sell, right? Like things like that. These things are coming.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the way, sorry, John, let me just say this really quick. The way it would work is like, imagine when you buy an NFT, if you don't know what an NFT is, obviously you're going to go do your research and stuff. But when you look at an NFT, typically it has traits, it has properties. So if you're buying a van NFT, obviously it's going to be probably a picture of the van. Maybe it's going to be all beautiful. Maybe it's AI generated, whatever. In the properties is going to be the VIN, is going to be the mileage, is going to be anything that's been done with it, similar to a Carfax, right? And then in the final property and in the purchase of it with the signature, that is the buyer's agreement right there. So physically, by buying the NFT, you now own the title to the van, and that's when you go through the unlockable content. But that's just, again, this is down the road. This is something that I really hope not OpenSea, but marketplaces start implementing this, because this is definitely the future. Sorry, John.
No, I just wanted to kind of caveat on this. I think it's really important, right? But one of the things that we want to fix with this, because we don't want people coming into crypto and getting scammed, right? That would be a no-no for onboarding. So the reason why it's not deadlocked in for us and we're taking our time with it is because we have to ensure that there's a level of authenticity on items that are being listed, like he was saying. So we've even started to look at becoming a professional grader as a company. So people could sell these, or people could send us these Pokemon cards or comics or whatever, right? We can grade them, put a grade level on it, and then we can sell it on the marketplace, knowing that it's a legitimate item and somebody's not going to get scammed. Because at the moment we allow digital items on there and people start scamming people, then that's where Meme NFT is going to create a bad rep in the space, right? So, so we are working on a process for authenticity, and once we have that there, because even with like a vehicle, right? Like you still have to go through the registration process and the transfer of registration. So there's still some money that needs to be exchanged in the Web 2 space for that to happen. So that might be an option to where, you know, also with the digital item, there's a $500 ETH that needs to be tacked on there. And that money with the ETH is going to go to the registration transfer and things like that, right? So we're working on this stuff in the background, and we plan on having it in the future, as well as fractionalization of real estate for certified investors, where we give them a if they can show us that they're doxed with a certification of being an investor in the US, well, then we can give them a soul-bound token that goes in their wallet, and then we can give them a token-gated access on the site to where they have access to buy these real estate properties at fractionalization levels, things like that. Like we are working on a way to where our marketplace will have something for everybody. But in the beginning, this is our proof of concept that shows we know what we're doing. And then as our roadmap continues, we'll start adding these things along the way. There's so many things I wish I could talk to you about right now. But everybody else is listening.
Yeah, of course.
But maybe at some point we can get on an NDA and I can show you behind the scenes of what we're building, because I have an almost 30-page document on our statement of work to happen over the next year and a half. And it will truly be things that can change this space if we get the right traction on the platform.
I love that. No, that's exciting. I mean, there's nothing more exciting than hearing that there are other things coming down the pipeline and how things can change you know, from web 2 to web 3 and what that's going to look like, and how this can really just be not only about art, but just things that we already have around us, and how we can digitalize them, and et cetera, et cetera. And then going through this whole thing. But again, just showing people how web 3 is not just about crypto and scams and whatnot. These are things, and we're doing things, and we're building things to prove its authenticity, prove that it's real, right? Take ownership. All these things are super important for a lot of people. So I love hearing about it, of course. Obviously, I know last week, it was almost like I felt like I had invited you guys to come on the show, and then OpenSea launched deals.
Yeah.
Now, it was almost like weird. It's like, I don't know, maybe they're listening to me too. I have no clue. But I obviously want to get your take on this.
Yeah.
You know, whatever you can say, of course. Because from what I understood, this was already something you were planning to do or are doing.
Yes.
And now OpenSea came out and said, hey, we're doing it.
Yes.
So John, let me just take this for a second. First of all, I just want to say, you know, last week, a lot of me bringing this up and sharing this on Twitter obviously is a part of the engagement train, you know, getting eyes from OpenSea for people to see like, oh, you know, there's another marketplace out here, right? I do want to just say, like, on the record, you know, we want to remove any word of, you know, stealing or thievery from the table. And in our opinion, this is healthy competition. But for the past 12 months, maybe even more than that,
maybe longer.
Yeah, we've been discussing, and we have recorded spaces of it, and we've been discussing, probably to not the benefit of ourselves, but we're very open books. We want people to understand what they're investing in. So we've talked about this trading platform very, very down to detail. And pretty much everything of this deals platform is it. Unfortunately, because I believe they rushed it to try to beat us to the punch, it's lacking in quality. So when ours comes out, there's definitely going to be, you'll notice a difference when you see ours. But I just want to say it's like hilarious because we finally were going to launch, right? Soft launch. And the night before we launched, I told my wife, I was like, how much you want to bet? Like OpenSea just puts out some kind of tweet, right? Just to like try to take something. So then the day we launched, they put out a tweet with the little handshake thing. Didn't tell anyone what it was, right? And everyone's thinking it's a token, it's a token. And then they say it's not a token. And I was like, yes, this worked in our favor. Like everyone's going to hate it. And then the next day they were like, it's a trading platform. And it's down to like, they even made a post with the RuneScape window, the RuneScape trading window. And we have said over and over in our Twitter spaces, like, imagine if you're playing RuneScape or Diablo or any of these trading games where you can da 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 da. So I mean, shout out to that. Listen, at the end of the day, this kind of stuff, no matter what, people are going to come out with it. It's mind-blowing to me that we were the ones really kind of thinking about this first, because this is something so simple, right? A trustless over-the-counter trading system is so simple. So I congratulate OpenSea. I'm really excited for ours to come out so we can kind of show our view on what this should look like. It will definitely be more in depth. You can do more chains. There's all sorts of stuff you can do. But
listen, I say there's space for everyone. If there's a threads and then there's an X,
right?
You know,
exactly.
Each their own.
I'm okay that at least something we talked about got their attention, whether it was from us or not. I almost can guarantee it, because I've talked about no less than 20 things that I've seen them put in.
We have a list.
6 months to a year. I have a list, like blows my mind, like word for word things that I was saying were implemented on the platform without even a message or anything to us or saying it. Like somebody on their team is definitely like doing market research and listening to people's spaces and stuff. Or they're just on the same intellectual mindset that we are, which would be quite the coincidence. But, you know, for me, I think I was the one that came up with this idea originally.
The trading platform?
Yeah. And tell us about it. Why don't you explain to us what it means to be trading and what was missing? Obviously, this was a miss. Now, why are they incorporating it? Was it because people wanted to be able to?
Yeah. So check this out. So yes, I remember it was because this is what happened. I got a mutant from somebody. I traded for it. I didn't buy it, right? And at the time, these bad boys were worth like
a lot.
Almost, I think there were 70, 80 grand at the time I got the trade, and then they went up to 120 grand, right? But I built up such a reputation in this space. The guy literally sent me the mutant before I even paid him anything, right? And all I was doing was trading with him.
Oh, wow.
And I could not freaking believe it. He just said, "Oh, I already sent it to you." And I was like, dude, I told him straight up. I was like, dude, I know you trust me. I was like, but please, please, please do not ever do what you just did again. You're
Yeah,
lucky
yeah,
I'm me and I'm going to give you the stuff I said. But I was like, and it was this moment right here. I said, you know what? We have to do something different because I know people are getting scammed because they think they can trust people and they say, oh, send me this and I'll send you that. It's been happening in video games like Diablo since the since the beginning of time. I used to play
right.
that game a long time ago on PC, and people were doing it to me back then. And I just was like, I had an instant nightmare in my head of like, this guy could have totally got screwed over on me. And he paid 27 ETH for this at the time. And ETH was at
Yeah.
$3,000, I think. So yeah, I think it was, 80, 90
Yeah, it
grand.
was up there. You were up
Yeah.
there.
So I was like, there's got to be something out there. I started looking, nobody had anything. And I was like, holy shit, it's pardon my French, right? Is that considered dirty French like we were talking about? I don't know. But anyways, but I was like, this is a problem, and people, I know they have a lot of trust in people, but $100,000 could make anybody turn on the flip
Oh,
of a
for sure.
dime, right? Because that could have changed my life right there. I could have sold that, kept my other NFTs, sold those for another 20 ETH, and I would have said deuces. Now my reputation is more than money could ever buy for me in this, so I didn't do that. But I took the time to educate him and just let him know, like, this isn't okay the way you did this. I'm fine with it because I'm trustworthy, but like, dude, you've got to not do this
Yeah.
ever again. Please promise me never do this. So then that's when the idea started going through my head. I was like, okay, we have got to make a way where we can do a trustless trading system that has a escrow wallet per se, right? That's created to where everybody, agrees to the trade, then it goes, and then they have a final submission when after they've been able to research and make sure that they didn't transfer a scam NFT in there or something, right? And have all the information present so you can make that sound decision. And so that's when I was like, this is something that's really needed. Obviously, it takes a lot of development, and now we're further along in this space and more developers are getting more talent under their belt because
Yeah.
let's be honest, even when OpenSea started, I think from what I've been told, it took them 4 years to create that platform because people just didn't know this shit yet. They didn't know what they were supposed to do in the coding aspects and how, and now
Okay.
everybody has all
Yeah.
this experience. So they're able to make these products. Like, it's almost like there should be no developer saying now that there's nothing that can be possible in this space because everything could be possible with little time and money, given the opportunity in the right headspace, right? So that's what we've been talking about for a long time. Now, our problem is we didn't have the funding behind us to prioritize creating that, right? We've had our ups and downs in our development as well. But now I can see that, you know, like Pickle said, I believe they rushed that product to market. I
Yeah.
don't think the product is anywhere near the way we're going to have it released. And that's fine because, like you said, there's room for healthy competition. And we were able to see what they were willing to do right out the gate. But trust and believe what we have coming out of the gate is going to be a superior product. It's just, we just have to take more time getting more people to onboard to our platform.
So just so you know, when I keep putting my hand up like that, it's because I raised my hand once and then it activated my 360 camera. So if I don't stop it, it'll keep moving. So just know that I'm not being rude, like
Yeah.
raising it a bunch. But I mean,
I was like, he's
we're
been such a good student. He's like going like this, like, okay.
no, the camera. That's how I signal the camera. But
Oh,
no,
Pickle.
listen. I mean, here's the thing. Like at the end of the day, whether they got the idea from us, whether they didn't get the idea from us, great. I do truly believe that they got the idea from us, and I do truly believe that they rushed it because, again, this is something that we've been talking about for a long time. If they were truly threatened by us, they could have probably released this a long time ago. But I don't think they had been watching us for so long. We'd gone through a couple development phases. Remember, we're completely community funded here. We're out of our own pockets and the funding of our community, hence the 50% revenue share to them. So there's probably this itch of them being like, well, this isn't really a threat. And then they see our platform, they see us launch, and it's like, okay, time to put this out. Now, that to me is one of the most negative things we can do in this space. Okay. This whole like, we have to be better than the other project. My NFT project is better than your NFT project. Don't, come in my group and talk crap about my NFT project, whatever that is. That is the most bass backwards way of thinking in this space, right? This whole space, the blockchain would cease to exist if we all stopped using it, right? We're the community that's building it. So why rush a product out potentially with security flaws? Why rush a product out just to try to beat a little, like we're a soft launched project funded by a community? You know what I mean? It's not like we're a multi-billion-dollar company, but I can tell you the difference in it. We've never done anything rushed. Okay. We could have released this marketplace multiple times over the past year and a half, and we didn't, because we wanted to make sure if we come out with a marketplace, we have one chance to do this successfully and one chance to really prove to the world who we are. So we've never rushed anything. From the very second of the idea of this marketplace, the first thing I did was threw down a bunch of money for the domain, hired a legal team, and started looking into all the aspects of it, because this is not a game for us. This isn't us to make, $13.3 billion and be the top dog. I don't care about being the top dog. I want people to use our marketplace because it's a better marketplace overall.
I love that. Well, listen, I took this quote from Nico here, who wrote, "For once in our lives, the people have a unique opportunity to create a global financial ecosystem. But if we don't do it correctly, we will fall back into the hands of mega profit monopolies." I mean, guys, why did you get into Web3? What was it? Because that's the hardest thing for me right now, is feeling like I need to convince people about why I'm in this space. Um,
Hmm.
what was it for you? What made it click for you? Like, what was it that you were like, this is it? This has to be the next wave.
Well, for me, I hold a lot of value in people, and I think that a lot of people are kicked down in traditional company hierarchies and structures because you got to have this much experience doing this. You've got to have this education to even get to this point in the project, right? Then you come over to here and people accept you for who you are. I I have a lot of experience. I have a degree, a master's degree. I have all these things, or I have all these accolades, but it's still struggling to try to get to the top position in a company because they want to see more. They want to see more. But that's not how I value people. I value people on their experiences. I value people on what I hear coming out from their mouth, and if they can back up the things that they are saying, right? And in this space, anybody can be a CEO, anybody can be a COO, which also has challenges, right? That can create issues, but you pretty much know right away when you're following a project if these people have what it takes, if they're putting the proof in the pudding, as we say, right?
Right.
And I think in Web3, there's so much brilliant minds here that, like Pickle said earlier, that weren't accepted in the Web2 society of creating their own business, or they don't even know where to start. There's so much to starting your own business, between getting a business license, a franchise tax board fees, all these things, all these different ways everybody wants to try to take your money, right? Well, you can start here with an idea and you can grow a community around it, and you can get people to believe in what you're doing, right? And I think for me, if we have more people like you, Pickles, myself, at the forefront of that, it's a lot easier for us to onboard people into this space when we actually show them proof. We actually show them, I started from here 2 years ago. Now look where we are, right? And all we did was we started this with a dream, and we influenced other people to get on that dream with us.
Right.
And now we're all in this boat together, and we're creating these projects and these innovations that didn't exist 2 years ago. So that's why I got into it. When I saw that I could make a difference with my experience without having to have a freaking doctorate degree or 15 years experience running a company just to be put in that position. It's like, we need to understand that we are all people. We all come from different places. We all have something that we can add to the table. And if we truly work together, we can make this space whatever we want it to be, but we have to be able to have the right people to do it. And so Web3 to me is like, nobody in this space is going to tell you you can't do it,
Right.
right? You can do anything as long as you can put your mind to it, and as long as you put the effort and time, and you can get people to really believe in what you're doing. I don't think that's the reality in Web 2. I think it takes a lot more than that in Web 2, and a lot more track record behind you for that to happen. So that's my reason why I'm in Web 3.
Yeah. I mean, it's opportunity of future, right? My whole life, I've been an entrepreneur. My passion is being a chef. I've been an executive chef. I've done sous chef, all that. But I also owned, one of the largest dubstep EDM record labels in the Bay Area when I was 18 till 24. I mean, we threw huge stages at Burning Man and stuff. But when I say opportunity of future, none of that. Ever since I was a kid, I knew that I was meant for something in terms of being successful and being able to provide for my family. All I've ever wanted is family. I've wanted to be able to provide for them. But with these businesses in Web 2, you're going against sharks. man. The opportunity for a successful business to come out of the ground is so hard. And like John said, one of my biggest issues was I never knew where to start. I've had millions of $1 million ideas. I'm sure ideas that could have made me life-changing money, but I didn't even know how to go about doing the patent. And then you start looking at, okay, it's $1,000 fee for this, $1,000 fee for that, and it just scares you, right? And then I found cryptocurrency, and I found a niche within cryptocurrency that fits within the realm of who I am and my ethos of talking to people, working with people, really engaging with people, speaking with people. And I found this group of degenerates that's like, we have an opportunity to build something here. So I started trading. I lost a bunch of money and stuff. And then the first time I pulled out some money, the first time I pulled out money and it hit my bank account, I remember when I transferred it too, because I was like unsure if it was even going to go. I was like, this is magical unicorn money. What's going to happen? The first time I saw my bank account, I knew. I was like, this is it. Like, look, this is a bunch of tattooed, bearded up degenerates building multi-million-dollar companies. Nice, John. I was thinking like mayor. No,
Yeah.
but I mean, we're normal people, right? We're not people that have been backed by billions of dollars from our family, or we're not people that have been given the steps in life to be able to succeed. We are the everyday person. And the blockchain is the first time in the history of our financial universe, I mean, but like since the invention of money, that we've really been able to take control of it. And we've
I,
really been able to build something for ourselves.
I had one more comment,
Yeah.
because you kind of reminded me of something here. I think it's really important. Like when I think of Web3, it's an ecosystem of people and information that we're actually willing to share, right?
Mm.
Because in Web2, there's a lot of information, there's a lot of great people, but most of it's so competitive, nobody wants to share it with each other. It's this
Mhm.
greed corporate hierarchy where you're just, screwing over the next guy to get to the top, right? But nobody's really like that in this space. There are some of those people here that are here for the wrong reasons, but the ecosystem of information and people that's actually willing to be shared is what makes this space so desirable. And
Right.
if people understand that, if they can get their old school mindset like on around an NFT that, oh, because it's not physical and I can't touch it, I don't see any value in that. There's so many things that we can't physically touch and we see value. Look at relationships. How much value do you hold in a relationship? And it's something you actually physically can't touch. It's a connection you're making with somebody. It's the same thing with art. Art is in the eye of the beholder. It's how you interpret it. A lot of these artists, they create with an iPad and their Apple Pencil, and they're actually doing the art. It's just on a digital pad. Like it's not like they're still not creating it. Yeah, there's AI, but there's a different category for AI, right? It's the beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and it's all about what you see and what you can interpret. So if I was to say anything to somebody like struggling to see why an NFT is like valuable, it's just like I just said with relationships. You hold a lot of things valuable, but when it comes to art, it's not something that you actually have to physically touch. How often do you touch that painting on your wall? You know what I
I
mean? You
don't.
never
I
touch
never
it.
touched that.
You never touch that painting on your wall. It's just up there, right?
Yeah.
So why does it have to be physical for us to see value in it? I could make a printout of the NFT and put it on the wall. It's the same value as the actual art piece and in actual, logic, right? So, there it's just we just got to get these people to realize that it doesn't matter if it's digital or if it's physical. It's about how you see it and the value behind it. And there's obviously millions of people that see value in digital art, and it's our responsibility to try to change the minds of other people and offer a different mindset to get them to want to come over here. And at the end of the day, if they still can't get behind it, that's fine. Like you said, the digital collection is
Right.
something maybe they can get behind, or maybe they don't. That's okay. It doesn't have to be everybody's cup of tea. And I think we all need to realize that.
I just wanted to throw one more note because you quoted my quote. At the end of the quote, it says, if we don't do this properly, we're going to fall back in the hands of Web2 mega profit business practices. And what I just want to say for that is, and I say this with the utmost respect, but shame on us. I mean, shame on us that we sit here and complain for 2-3 years that a platform isn't developing. I mean, shame on us that we don't force these platforms to be a platform that works for us. We're the ones in control of this. If something isn't working for us, instead of going around and hashtagging and saying, broken sea or whatever, we need to stop providing business to that platform and say, this is what we need.
Yeah.
We are in control of this global financial ecosystem. And if we just continue to push over and not speak or not build on the actual things that we need that have made success for degenerates like us and will continue to make success for degenerates in the future, if we don't do that, these companies are going to slide right in and they're just going to keep doing it. And I guarantee you in 2-3 years from now, cryptocurrency won't even be what we ever thought it could be. I mean, it'll just be a megalo for-profit system. It'll be ran by the government. I
Be a
mean,
digital version of businesses that already exist.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll just be Amazon just accepting another way to take a payment. So
Exactly. So it's again, reminding people that we have the power. It's just now
right.
take it and use it, right? Like how I always explain, anything you buy right now is like a vote. It's like a voting system, right? Are you choosing to buy locally produced veggies in your neighborhood? That's like a vote. That's like
Right.
choosing to buy around you, right? If you're supporting an NFT artist, if you're all these things, buying, your dollar goes a lot further when it means something to you. And also it's like I said, like it's a way of voting. I love that because, a lot of people would complain about a lot of these. As a content creator myself, a lot of people complain about, oh, well, all these apps own my work. How can I own my own work? Well, that's
Right.
how I got into Web3, is figuring out, well, how do I remove myself off of the big corporations and how do I turn this back into my stuff, right? And take ownership of my work. And that's why I'm here too, because again, when you've been burned and you're looking
Yep.
for a new option, I mean, this for me was the way to go.
Yeah. It's all about ownership.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Web3 musicians are the perfect example. I mean, artists are a perfect example, but people still like to make fun of like, oh, NFTs are just digital things of art. But like the Web3 musicians, I mean, Nessie, this guy's been Sammy Ariaga. I mean, these guys, first of all, if they ever have an opportunity at success in Web 2, they've had to claw and fight their way through it. And chances are they're getting a shit end of the stick when it comes to a deal from record labels, because I've been there. I've signed people. I know what it looks like. Spotify pays you nothing. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not a livable wage unless you become the top 1% of performers or you feed into the machine of how society wants a celebrity to look like, right? But now you can come in here and you can break. No, I mean, look at Sammy Ariaga and Nessie's Metagirl remix did like 70% of Snoop Dogg's volume. I mean, that's huge. That's
Wow.
huge. I mean, it's
I-
just incredible that you can do that.
I would say almost no musician in Web 2 can make it just off their hard work. They have to,
Yeah.
a label has to
Hard
find
machine.
them and believe in them for them to make it at all. It's almost like a Ponzi scheme over there, right? Like you have to know somebody to make it in music. And think about how many artists actually make it onto iTunes and all these things, right? Like
Crazy.
far and few between. When you talk about Web3, like we know 3 artists off the top of our heads that are killing it. You got Nessie the Rilla, you got Sammy Ariaga, and you've got Violetta.
Violetta. I mean,
Violetta. Those
Yes.
3 right there, I've seen them completely change their lives around by making money through their music and Web3 and actually providing value. And actually, they know that if they work harder, they can get more out of it and they can give more to their communities. That I don't see that in Web 2. I don't see that, and I know music in Web 2 is a little threatened by this because that's very controlled at who they have at the top over there. It's not like you could have all the talent in the world and they still might not pick you to go viral because they don't like the way you look or they don't like some of the things you do.
Mm-hmm.
In Web3, that shit doesn't matter.
Right.
We all celebrate you for the way you are
Yeah.
and the things that you do. And we're allowed to tell you if we don't like something, and it's up to you whether you want to change it or not, or just keep being you. You know what I mean? But it's a lot different. And I think when more people realize that, even whether they're a musician or not, when you realize the power of what you have personally over your community and the things that you can control, it's going to change your opinion on so many different things.
Yeah. I when we first started this, it was originally going to be on the Binance Smart Chain 2 years ago to give a hub to these meme tokens that didn't really have a place to go. And then obviously, we're a full scale multi-chain marketplace now. But the reason for being multi-chain and just sticking to multi-chain, and I just want to make a note, any chain that we add is a chain that actually has NFT volume. We're not just adding chains for shits and giggles. But to be able to offer an option like Polygon and Matic, I mean, think about the artists in India. Think about the artists in Pakistan. There are some of the world's most talented artists. I mean, we're talking just incredible talent, but they don't have the opportunity or the money to go get themselves out there other than selling their, wares on the street to a tourist. So when you're talking about the difference of a $30 gas fee, even a $5 gas fee, as opposed to a 99 cent or a 25 gas fee, it's life changing. So to be able to give the opportunities, that's the whole thing about OpenSea, is we want our 1%ers to do good. We want our, the people just coming into the space to do well. I want the gentleman over in India that's been struggling and selling $5 paintings on the street to feed his family to be able to come over here and sell something for $500 and change his life. You know what I mean? That's why this space is just incredible.
I love that. Well, guys, I mean, we are running out of time. Any last words? I mean, this is interesting. I'm excited for, Meme NFT, the marketplace, everything. You already said so much alpha about what's coming. So I feel like I can't ask you again, well, what's coming? I feel like you said enough. But any last words when it comes to the marketplace, what you're currently seeing? Any last words before we go?
I would just say that it was very important to me that we soft launched. A lot of companies don't soft launch because they want the product to be complete. They want it to be perfect before they get it out. But it was important to me to let the community have a say in the process and to let them see where we started, so they know where we're going to be in the next, 3, 6, 9, a year from now, right? Months. So it was important for us to let people get their hands on it, have a say so, give us feedback of things that they wanted to see, and get them more involved in the marketplace. Because at the end of the day, we've said it for the last few years, this is the people's marketplace. It's by traders, for traders, and we are going to settle for nothing less than what you guys want, not what we want as the owners.
Here's the thing. I'm not going to lie to everyone and say this is the greatest platform ever. I mean, we just soft launched. We're still building. You can go there right now. You can list. We've aggregated pretty much every project on the planet is on there. So if you didn't know that your project is listed on there, chances are it is. Any projects getting listed on the blockchain are going to be on there. So what I will tell you is that we are real people. Go back and look at our history. We have been in the space. We have been in some huge spaces. We've spoken on panels from here to Dubai. I mean, we are who we say we are. We're you guys. We're the people that are going to watch this podcast. And I can't promise you that we're going to be the top #1 marketplace. But what I can promise you is that as long as you guys want a better platform and use our platform, we're going to keep improving it. And the best way that you can help us right now, you don't even have to sell anything. The best way to help us right now is just go list your NFTs. Just go list your NFTs, because we need people to see not only that their collection's there, but that they can actually buy something from it. So it's an amazing marketplace. I mean, we've put out a lot just for our soft launch. And again, like John said, the next 90 to 100 days are paramount to the marketplace and what its success is going to be like, because that's when you're going to see these custom features come out. So I really appreciate you. I've been so excited for this podcast. This is like, I'm super stoked on this. So thank you.
No, I'm so happy. Yes.
I didn't tell you one thing, and I can't believe we didn't say this the whole time. We actually have a contact us section on the page. It's broken up into 6 categories. Yeah. You can put an email in there. We'll send you an email. You get a nice little email that says, hey, thanks for putting it in, and we'll get back to you. We will actually write you back in a reasonable amount of time. If you have a suggestion, you can tell us. If you have a bug you need to report, you can tell us. If you have an issue with a collection or a piece of art or something like that, tell us. We will get back to you in a reasonable amount of time. Let's bring customer service into the NFT buying process. And we have plenty of stuff coming for you soon. We have an entire video library to help you through the entire site. That's coming to us soon. We just have to screen capture everything when it's ready. And yeah, let's demand more from a marketplace. Let us work for you, not the other way around. Appreciate you having us on here, Girl in the Verse. You are awesome. This was a great conversation. And we'd love to have you on our podcast, Undigested.
Sure. Oh, well, guys, thank you so much. I mean, I always tell everyone in my community, of course, all the links down below, these are the only ones you should be clicking. No, I'm not asking you up in your DMs what your favorite coin is if you're trading. Never. Okay. Just never. It's never me. Okay. I promise you. But please come right to me. Drop your comments down below. Ask these guys a couple of questions so we can get them back on the show. And of course, like I always say, you guys can come find me on your favorite social media app. How's that? Because I'm on each and every single one. Come find me on your favorite social media app and come say hi. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Thank you.